Joining us now, former U.S. Ambassador to Israel, David Friedman, and former State Department spokesperson, Morgan Ortagus, is back with us. Morgan, let me start with you. We had Mike Pompeo on earlier. I know you work very closely with him. Let's stay on this question of Iran and their involvement here. And, you know, even the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, a lot of the funding, a lot of the support, and the actual okaying of the operations, both north and south, Lebanon and Gaza, coming directly from them. They seem to be out of the equation when it comes to paying a price, when they seem pretty responsible.
Well, they shouldn't be, Sean. You're absolutely right. And in fact, we know that this attack would not have happened over the weekend if it wasn't for the funding, the training, the equipping, the support of the Islamic Republic of Iran to Hamas. And not just to Hamas, by the way. This is Iran's playbook around the region, throughout the Middle East. They fund their Shia terror proxy groups like Hezbollah in Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, the Shia militia groups in Iraq, which have in the past, by the way, tried to attack our U.S. embassy and kill our troops. And in the Trump administration, in which the ambassador and I served, we had a very clear line with Iran. Mike Pompeo let the Iranians know, if you touch an American, if any of your proxies do this, if you hurt an American, if you kill an American, we will hold you responsible just as if you had done it yourself. So the administration, Sean, is playing semantics over, well, it wasn't this $6 billion or that $6 billion. The bottom line is this administration has not enforced the legal sanctions that are on the books. And one thing that we should watch out for is in just 9 days, there is an arms embargo at the UN that's going to expire. One has already expired a few years ago, but there's a specific advanced arms embargo against Iran that covers the suicide drones, that covers ballistic missiles. That will expire in 9 days, Sean. And in 9 days, the Iranians can sell that, can give that away, can put it out in the market with no impunity on the world stage. And that's something that we should be watching for, and something that the administration should immediately try to get renewed at the United Nations.
Ambassador, I've known Prime Minister Netanyahu anywhere between 25 and 30 years. And one thing I can tell you, this is a man that has moral clarity. This is a man that will protect his nation. This is a man that will stop at nothing to win this war. I would imagine at his call that holy hell is about to be unleashed in the Middle East, probably the likes of which we've not seen before. He has said as much. How would you interpret those remarks?
Well, Sean, I think, we saw over the last couple of days the orchestrated and barbaric murder of Jews, the likes of which we haven't seen since the Holocaust. And I know the Prime Minister well, as do you, and I've worked with him closely for 4 years. And if there's one overriding mandate that Bibi Netanyahu has, is to make sure that there will never be another Holocaust. That is his fundamental mandate, not just to the state of Israel, but to the Jewish people. And what we saw requires the kind of response, the likes of which Israel has never undertaken before. It will be a massive, overwhelming response until Hamas is completely obliterated. And then, remember, the head of the snake, as I think Morgan alluded to, the head of the snake is Iran. And I think, whether it's Bibi or whether it's the policies that we worked under, Donald Trump didn't pay terrorists. That's sort of the simple point. He wouldn't pay Iran. He imposed massive sanctions on Iran. He eliminated Qasem Soleimani, Iran's leading terrorist. Wouldn't pay the Palestinian Authority because they had a program called Pay to Slay, where they would incentivize Palestinians to kill Jews. The more Jews they killed, the more money they got. He wouldn't fund UNRWA, an organization in the Gaza Strip that taught and encouraged young Palestinians to hate Jews and to kill them. Okay, if that's what they're going to do, they're not going to get any money. And now we're looking at Iran today. It's in a very different place. Iran 3 years from then is a much wealthier country. You look at the number of barrels of oil they're selling every day. It's gone up dramatically over the last 3 years. They have a lot of money, and they're using that money to fund malign activities all over the world. And so when Hamas is done, and they will be obliterated, I trust Bibi. He's going to get this job done. When they're obliterated,
I think we all.
Yeah.
Will this conflict, I only got about 20 seconds left, will this conflict unite the people of Israel behind the Prime Minister and whatever actions he deems necessary to take?
It already has, and tens of thousands of Israelis who were living outside the country have flown back into Israel to join the army, to join the reserves. The country is united like ever before, and Hamas made a huge miscalculation.
All right, Ambassador, thank you. Morgan, good to see you. Thank you. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.